Before I start this episode, I would just like to say RIP to Sel and Rob, who I'd like to say was the GOAT in mob reporting, a huge influence on me, and I'm sure other content creators who report stuff in this genre. So a big rest in peace to Sel and Rob. Welcome to the Loomis Show. I'm your host, Loomis. If you're new here, please like and subscribe to the content. It really helps get this moving. And this is one that, if you're a fan of history and really want the truth out there, you should definitely like and subscribe. Not subscribe, just like to get it moving. I'm being real with you. I could just be saying subscribe. Now, if you hit that like button and comment, it helps get this moving in the algorithm. And a lot of other people who report stuff who have a real lot of subscribers, one who I'm about to talk about in particular, who was a mobster, reporting false information. So we'd like to set the record straight. As you've seen on the thumbnail, this episode is about Russell Bufalino and John Pennisi. John Pennisi has a channel, and he did an episode on Russell Bufalino. Now, as many of you know, if you ever notice Russ or ever seen him like in the Senate committee hearings and stuff like that, you notice that he's missing two of his fingers. And John Pennisi came out with an episode saying that Russell was involved with a shootout with the state police, and that he was shooting like a shotgun at him, and he got shot, and that's how he lost both of his fingers. Well, this book right here, which was Russell's, is titled The United States Courts of Appeals for the Third Circuit, Russell Bufalino, appellant, brief appellant. Now, I know that that information he said was false just from talking to the Buffalino family, but, that's not good enough in this genre. People want to actually see receipts. They want to, they don't, there was one instance where, I'm not going to bring up any names, where someone was claiming to be someone's daughter's son or whatever, and people were like, that's not true. And this person absolutely was the daughter or son or whatever. So you really, really have to have receipts in this genre. Now, as you can see, if you guys are reading across the screen right now, you will read, Russell Bufalino had worked in various places: Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittston, Buffalo, Pittston, Endicott, New York, and which last place he worked for the Mission Beverage Company until September 11th, 1944, at which time he suffered an injury to two fingers. Then the Mission Beverage Company was owned and operated by one Joseph Barbera, who treated him well and with whom he became friendly and for whom he sponsored. So there it is right there. But Joe Buffalino also told me that, way back when I asked him, is that true? What happened with Russell's hands? And if you guys remember, in the book, I Heard You Paint Houses, or you could even go back to The Irishman. There's a lot of inaccuracies in that movie, but Russell was a fantastic mechanic, and that story is true. That is how Frank met Russell. And so what happened though was Russell was working as a mechanic, and the engine, Joe dropped one of the engine came down, and that's what severed the fingers, and that's where he got the injury from. So my question is, John Pennisi, he was in the Lucchese's, May guy, and you guys know the I'm sure you know the story and seen the paper, as I'm showing right here, Ghost of Nostra, that he cooperated and He wasn't even looking at a lot of time. I don't even think they were even like looking into him or whatever. But that's besides the point. As you know, I stay impartial and I don't point the fingers and call anyone rats or this or that. Why? Because I was never put in that situation. But what I don't understand is, especially coming from a former mobster, tell like your own stories. Like I just don't understand the psychology of, when you wake up one day, and this was around the time like at the Irishman was going on. It was like must have been trending and stuff. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to tell a story about Russell Bufalino, but completely make it up." Well, I guess he didn't realize though that there's still family out there, and and the facts are still out there on paper and in his deportation papers, which he never got deported. So it just kind of makes you wonder, like, it should show you is that you gotta take everything with a grain of salt, no matter who it comes from. And I'm not knocking anyone, but just like with the Whitey Bulger situation, when Sammy Gravano was saying Stevie Flemmy was trying to get out of that life and was afraid of Whitey and didn't know how to get away from him. Point being is he almost has a million subscribers. So that's going to go down in like history as people really thinking that. And that's just not the case. Now, Pennisi doesn't have as many as that, but he still has a decent amount of subscribers and people believe him. You got to really, really understand in this genre that a lot of guys are making up stories just for the money and they'll come out with anything if they run out of content. And I'm talking about Pennisi here. Tell your own stories. You were a made man in Luke Casey's. I just don't understand where that comes from in your mind, like where that idea, like you thought that that was a good idea to say, because Russell Bufalino, we hear about is the gangster stuff and how powerful he was and this and that. Yes, he was an extremely powerful man, and not denying that at all. But me being from this area and also friends though with the family, he did so much good around here. He wasn't one of those mobsters who was, when you hear that story from Pennisi, that's like a Tommy DeSimone type story or a Nino Gadji story, like, like Russell was shooting at the cops and all that type of no, never happened. He was very low key, shoot at police and do all that type of stuff. And just, he wasn't one of those gangsters that was just off the wall and living to age 90 and passed away in 1994 is a testament in his own bed, not like the Irishman says, not in his own bed, but over at Nesbitt Hospital. But he was surrounded by family before they took him over there to Nesbitt Hospital in Kingston, Pennsylvania on Wyoming Avenue. My point being is that for him to live that long in that life, you know, usually the wild, crazy ones like the Tommy DeSimones and all that, they don't live long unless they get put in, prison for life. They might live there. But Russell absolutely was not put, did not go to the prison hospital. He didn't die in the prison and he wasn't buried in the prison cemetery like it says in The Irishman. He's over at Denison Street Cemetery, as you see right here, buried with his wife, Carrie, and his mausoleum's right there. And also Santo Volpe, the king of the night, is also buried in the same cemetery. So with movies, I understand a little bit because movies always take liberty, but like with documentaries, we hope to hear the truth and stuff. But anymore, when I watch a movie, I don't try to nitpick every little aspect of it. Like they wouldn't do that, because then I'm not going to enjoy it. I think the greatest television show of all time is The Sopranos. So if I was going to nitpick every little thing about that, like a mob bossy and a psychiatrist, then I wouldn't be able to enjoy it. So, you just sit back and you enjoy stuff like that. But with Scorsese, with The Irishman, I don't understand. So if you notice, I believe he said that because every character that he introduces in that movie, it'll say Phil Testa, blown up by nail bomb. It'll say, it'll say so and so labor unit shot in the head 4 times. So I guess he just had to say that though about Russ at the end. But it really though doesn't. I guess he was trying to show, and I get it because it's not a glamorous life at all. And he was trying to show that, hey, I'm not glamorizing this. I'm telling you, look what happened to these guys. And he told you right out of the gate, the second you met the character in that movie, it said right underneath, boom, what happened to them. So I'm thinking that's why he said that about Russ. But because at first I'm like, it doesn't change the movie if you just say that Russell Bufalino was released, in 1988 and then died in 1994 at the age of 90 years old. So obviously don't believe movies. Enjoy them, like Donnie Brasco, Casino, Goodfellas, a lot of inaccuracies, but enjoy them for what they are. But be very careful when you are watching content creators, and this isn't even just a content creator, someone that's just interested in the mob. This was a guy that was actually in the mob, a made member in the Lucchese's. So obviously people are going to be, I understand why you guys would believe what he says, but at the same time, he just made that up out of thin air. So it's a fact, and I'll show it again right across the screen, as you see now. The United States Courts of Appeals, November 12th, 927 Russell Bufalino appellant versus John W. Holland. Appeal from judgment of the District Court of the United States for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. Civil action number 25283, brief for appellant. And you guys could read right there again. Russell Bufalino had worked in various places: Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittston, Buffalo, Pittston, Endicott, New York, at which last place he worked for the Mission Beverage Company until September 11th, 1944, at which time he suffered an injury to 2 fingers. Then underneath, the Mission Beverage Company was owned and operated by one Joseph Barbera, who treated him well and with whom he became friendly and for whom he sponsored. And there's a lot of other stuff all about that I could get into, but stay tuned for project that we are working on with the Buffalinos. And also, again, be very, very careful with the information that you guys are watching, no matter who it comes from. And like I said, I already knew this from talking to them, but in this genre, that's not good enough. So that's why I had to show the actual paperwork in the book from his deportation trial. And this book right here, was given to Russ after his deportation trial. So there you have it. Russell Bufalino, he was a mechanic, and that is how he lost 2 of his fingers. And John Pennisi and other content creators out there, just don't make stuff up. Come up with your own truthful stuff. That's just one. The reason why I started though in this genre, I was called Mafia Truth a while ago. Now it's the Loomis Show because I'm just doing music and doing a lot of other stuff besides just the mob stuff. But you're gonna get found. Like my buddy Scotty always says, the cream always rises to the top. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this little segment. And please like, subscribe, share, get this moving, because this is the facts. Unequivocally, cannot argue this. This is absolutely the fact of what happened. So, I believe the name of the channel is, I don't even want to say the name of his channel though, but it's something news, like Sit Down News or something like that. So be very, very careful on where you guys are getting your information from. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Loomis Show.